Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking all about the PCT, answering y'all's questions, sharing details, and also introducing myself because we have a lot of new subscribers to the channel. So thank you guys so much for joining along, and I can't wait to share the PCT with everybody. Before I get started, I do want to say that I will be answering the questions that I posted on Instagram. Every now and then I will put up a question box. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, go ahead and do that. I share lots of gear recommendations, and I'll also be sharing my through hike on there as well. So a little bit about me. My name is Kelly Hayes, obviously. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Conway, Arkansas. And many of y'all know I through hiked the AT last year, the Appalachian Trail, and it was quite the journey. I had a lot of stuff happen to me. Got an organ cut out, met my soulmate, and I vlogged the whole thing. So if you guys want to get caught up on that, I have a whole playlist with all 183 days of my hike documented. Alright, so let's get into the details of my hike. I am starting in April. I'm not saying my exact start date for security purposes. There's a lot of weird people out there, if y'all know what I mean. I will be hiking Novo, so that means I'll be starting in Mexico, in Campo, California at the border, and walking all the way up to the border of Canada in Washington. And this trail is actually 2,650 miles long. So that's about 450 more miles than the Appalachian Trail. But from what I've heard, the terrain is a lot more chill. You don't deal with as many big rocks or things like I saw in the Whites. So I'm excited for that. I'm hoping to complete this through hike in less than 6 months. 5 months would be great, or less, but we'll just have to see. You never know what happens out there. I finished the Appalachian Trail in about 7 months, but that was because of my medical emergency. Combined, I took 3 weeks to recover, and then 2 weeks in between having to go back and finish the section that I missed from surgery. So I think with the mileage that we want to do, that I want to do every day, I should be able to finish in about 6 months. We'll be starting the trail with James. Y'all probably know him as Toasty if you've been around for a while. I actually met him halfway through the Appalachian Trail, and he's gonna do part of the trail with me. He can't do the whole thing, but I'm hoping that he can do the majority of it with me. All right, so getting into some of the questions that you guys asked me. What am I looking to get out of the PCT? Going into the Appalachian Trail, I didn't really know what to expect, but I knew that I wanted an experience. I knew I wanted a physical challenge and a mental challenge, and I was just excited to embark on the journey. Kind of the same deal with the PCT. I kind of have an idea of what I'm getting into now just because I've done a through hike before. I hope that I can spend some time out there, grow closer in my relationship with the Lord. That's really important. That's something that I felt like I did on the Appalachian Trail. And then also just make good memories with James and enjoy the West. It's gonna be such a different experience of the Appalachian Trail, going through the desert and those big mountains. So I'm just really excited for all of that. What am I most looking forward to? I think I'm just most excited to get back out and hike every day and wake up with a goal in mind, knowing like, hey, I need to get this many miles in, and you have a goal every day to push for. I think that's been something that's been kind of hard for me to readjust to back in normal life. I think in normal life we all have goals that we are working towards or whatever, but they are long-term goals. So every day you're chipping away, getting closer to maybe buying a new car or retiring or whatever. But I think it's different on trail because you are chipping away at that long-term goal, but there's a lot more satisfaction in knowing that you walked 20 miles to get there, and you know that, man, I put in some work today, and you can feel it physically, and you can see it on a map, and you just know that you're getting closer and closer to that end goal. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm just looking forward to the lifestyle of meeting with other hikers and being a dirtbag, not showering. It's just, life is so much simpler on trail, and that routine of waking up in the morning, packing up your stuff, walking, stopping for lunch, and then eventually finding a campsite, setting it up, and doing the whole thing over and over again. What section am I most excited about? So I get this question so much, and honestly, I don't really know. On the Appalachian Trail, I watched so many vlogs. I kind of had an idea of what was coming. I was always surprised when I got there, but I kind of knew like ahead of time, like, okay, the Shenandoahs are up next. I kind of know what to expect. The PCT, on the other hand, I don't really have that, but I do know there is some hot springs towards the beginning of the trail, so I'm probably most excited to jump in those hot springs and hopefully camp there at the end of a long day. What section do you think will be harder, the desert or the Sierras? I'm honestly pretty worried about the desert. I've been to the desert in the summer and it's hot. It's a different type of hot. In the south and on the AT, it's a very humid climate, so it's hot, it gets into like the 90s, but humid and you're sweating a lot. The desert straight up feels like you're in an oven, and temperatures get from 100 to 120 degrees. I'm worried that I'm gonna get heat exhaustion or something like that. I know that I'm gonna have to take breaks in the desert. How does your focus change from this trail start compared to the AT? And what do you think will be different from your experience on the Appalachian Trail? I think my focus is gonna be just doing the best that I can do every day. When it comes down to it, it literally is just one foot in front of the other. And you take it day by day, you do as much as you can, hang your hat at the end of the day proud knowing that you put in a good day's worth of work. This time I think I'm gonna be more focused on being more consistent with waking up early. If y'all watch my vlog on the AT, you know I ain't a morning person at all. So I'm gonna try to focus on sticking to those goals of waking up early and getting miles in, because it's gonna be really important when I get to the desert to wake up early and get some miles in before we have to take a break during the heat. I already know it's gonna be a completely different experience, and even though I've thru hiked before and I kind of know what to expect, like I said, as far as the ebb and flow of how a thru hike work, the terrain's gonna be completely different, the scenery, the people, everything. I'm into the AT, I didn't even know if I could do a thru hike, and now I know I can do it. I'm just ready, I think, to embrace whatever comes, not push too hard when things don't go my way. I think I've learned from thru hiking to just go with the flow, and if something doesn't go the way it is, it's like, all right, you gotta be ready to just change course and go with it. How have you been training your body for the PCT while also recovering from the AT? So this is a really good question, and I'm actually going to be doing a video talking about my recovery from the AT. But basically this time, so for the Appalachian Trail, as part of my training, I did a lot of CrossFit. And I think that helped me because CrossFit helps you get stronger, not only physically but mentally. And I just was in really good shape and probably the strongest I ever was in my life. For the PCT, my training is a little different. I'm not doing as much weightlifting because eventually those muscle fibers change to more endurance style muscles to adapt you to walking long distances every day. And so what I'm focusing more this time for the PCT is just getting steps in every single day. So I've been trying to hike 3 to 6 miles every single day and focusing more on getting the steps in versus going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. I'm still going to the gym maybe like once or twice a week and lifting weights to keep strong and stuff like that, but mostly focusing on getting steps in, whether that be walking around my neighborhood or doing a trail. That's definitely what I've changed as far as my strategy for training. All right, any fears or concerns going into the PCT? Yeah, I have some fears. My freak accident medical scare will always live in my brain. And even though that was like a freak accident thing and it probably won't happen again, it's always gonna have a little bit of concern and worry in the back of my mind. And so I know like the PCT, there's some pretty remote areas where I won't be close to a road, and even if I am, it's still another 30 miles to town. So that does concern me and worries me a little bit. I know on the Appalachian Trail after my surgery, one of the things I did when I got to camp, just for my own peace of mind, was to check the map and see where's the closest way to get out of off this trail if something went wrong. I am healthy. I don't really think I have much to worry about, but I do know anything can happen. and I just don't want to find myself in another situation like I was, because it was very scary. What will you do differently compared to your Appalachian Trail through hike? On the Appalachian Trail, it went through a lot of towns and there was a lot of things to do along the trail, and I took full advantage of that. I think having my medical scare, I was like, man, you only live once, so let's go to New York City, let's do that whitewater rafting trip, let's sunset kayak at Harper's Ferry. And I did all these extra things and kind of spoiled myself a couple times, but I think on the PCT, not take as long, that I will forego more of those things and be more focused on getting my miles in and just enjoying the beauty of the trail. And then if I want to come back and do those extra things, then I can do it. It's not to say that I'm not going to do anything fun on trail. If there's something fun to do that's right off the trail, then I might stop and do that if it makes sense. But I think that's kind of the main thing I'm going to do differently on this trail, and camping as much as I can out in the wilderness. Plans to summit Mount Whitney, 100% going to summit Mount Whitney. I was actually supposed to do Mount Whitney last year. I had a lottery draw for the end of September, and had my AT gone the way that it was supposed to without the surgery, I probably could have done that, but because I had surgery, I did not finish the Appalachian Trail in time to do Mount Whitney. So I'm definitely going to be doing it on the PCT. Are you worried about fire closures, and have you looked ahead at what those look like? Not really. I'm in a couple PCT groups on Facebook, and I'll read every now and then about a fire closure, but that's kind of one of those things that I'm just going to deal with when I get there. I feel like planning right now, there would be no point, because things can change, other fire closures can happen between now and when I start the trail, and so it'll be kind of a decision when I get there. I'll look at my options and figure out what's the best thing to do from there. How will you be sharing your videos on the PCT, and will you be putting them out while you're on trail or wait till after? So on the Appalachian Trail, I did a vlog for every single day, and I kind of liked that just for me, because I can go back and relive that entire day because I have that video. So I think that's what I'm going to do on the PCT. And then I also, on the AT, tried to stay current with my videos, but it was hard with service sometimes. And then also, once I got to the whites, I was taking so much video every day. I had like 2 or 3 hours worth of video, and it was just taking so long to edit, and it was kind of taking away from my experience and time with my trail family and my friends and stuff. And so that's why I decided after like day 100 that I would just wait and edit the rest of the videos when I got home. But basically for the PCT, I'm just going to try the best that I can. I know there's not as much service on the PCT as there was on the AT, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work with uploading videos. And it takes a lot of internet to upload a video. I mean, you can have Wi-Fi at places, but sometimes the Wi-Fi is only strong enough to get an email in. I'm going to try the best that I can to get the videos out while I'm on trail, and as often as I can. Are you going to be sending yourself resupply packages, and are you going to cold soak or use a stove? There are a couple places that I might send a resupply box. I need to continue doing a little bit more research and see where I want to send those. But for me, I think it can kind of be a waste to plan and send yourself resupply boxes. I know some hikers like to do that. I'm not a planner at all. I'd rather just figure it out while I get on trail, because if you do all this planning ahead of time, like, first of all, things never go as planned on a through hike. And second, you just don't ever know when you're going to get to town. So, for instance, if you send your package to a post office, a lot of times post office have very short hours, especially in smaller towns that are around the trail. You may be getting to that town on a Friday and not get there before the post office closed, and now you can't get your package until Monday. And so then you have to bump your package, and it's a whole thing. And it's just stuff that I don't want to deal with on trail. And then I also saw a lot of people on the AT send themselves resupply boxes that they made at home before. And about halfway in the trail, they couldn't even stand to look at the food that they were sending themselves. And they would end up giving it all away or throwing it in a hiker box, because your taste buds change on trail. And a lot of times you don't really account for that. You're like, oh, I'll eat it, you know, but after a while you get tired of stuff. And there's still things that I ate a bunch on the AT that I can't even look at now. Those Belvita bars with like the chocolate in between, like I'm done with those. I do have some things like coconut oil. I'm gonna be taking a multivitamin. I have my vitamin C powders from Bomar and some protein powder and stuff like that I'll occasionally have sent. But as far as like assembling resupply boxes, like full resupply boxes, I'm just not gonna do it. That's just not my style. And normally I can make do with what they have at the resupply place anyway. And then as far as bringing a stove, yeah, I might do the same thing that I did on the AT. Use my stove while it's cold and then send it home and cold soak while it gets hot. But the difference with the AT and the PCT, there are not as many towns to go in. So that may play a part if I can't get a hot meal every 2 or 3 days like I did on the AT, like I knew I could when I didn't have my stove. That may change my mind and I may keep my stove the whole way. We'll just have to see. Alright y'all, that's gonna do it for today's video. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you'd like to come along with me on the PCT. And that's it. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.